Okay, do you want to sing it again?
Do, 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 do.
Rolling curtain, rolling curtain. Oh, that was really funny. Liz doot doot, and I'm like, I haven't hit record yet.
Yeah.
Doot, 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 doot. Excuse me. Good morning. I'm putting my chipper face on. Welcome.
My hair's floppy. Look, see, it's like floppy. It's
well,
not
so
in
is
the right
mine.
spot.
Look. I had such a good hair day yesterday because I scrubbed my hair. I wash it like twice a week now. And the only way you guys are all going to see my hair down is if you watch the Tips and Tricks channel. Because I'm at home. So I leave my hair down. And then this is, at least this, if not everything like, wow, buckled back is pandemic hair. So, yeah.
I dyed mine last night.
Doesn't it look pretty? I think so. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Adventures of Liz and Rebecca.
Yes, you're already getting the Liz and Rebecca show off the bat because it's our Monday. I'm Rebecca. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion at Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
Yes, and our running commentary joke, whatever. That Tuesday is our Monday. Not that I really had a day off yesterday, but I made a sign for the shop. I came in and made a sign because we're gonna start advertising that we're here to help people shop outside. Because that's our new normal right now. Is Tuesdays and Thursdays, we can bring the entire shop out to you outside.
Yeah. Probably not all at one time. But.
Yeah, in doses. Yeah, don't like that? Okay, let's try something else. Don't like that? Okay, you want something like that, but not those colors? Hang on a second. Get some of my steps, And then Wednesdays and Fridays are by appointment only. I have a chronic cough. And I'm trying not to cough into the open air in the very limited time that we are unmasked in the shop, So, and filming where I can see myself, I'm going to fiddle with my pigtails. I'm going to try to stop, Anyway, my hair's getting really long.
It is.
It's almost as long as it was in high school, except now I know how to take care of it better. That's good. Anyway, I digress. That's not a thing.
No.
It's not a thing at all. No, Wednesdays and Fridays are appointment only. Morning lessons, afternoon, inside shopping. Gotta sign up in advance though. So, yeah, so last week was actually fairly successful with helping people outside and having more people maybe either being aware of the rules and working with us or being realizing that was the way things functioned and working with us outside. So, yeah, because we have a lot more tourists in town now, and that used to be our bread and butter. And if it was safe, it would still be our bread and butter. So we're trying to find safe ways for that to happen. Or if you're in town and want to take home a memento of your trip, as long as you work with us outside, you can.
Yeah.
So we had multiple people last week who brought lists. It was wonderful.
Lists are awesome.
Both the in-house shopping, because we've had 2 of those appointments now, and people who just walked up outside. Yep. They had lists.
And have got a list. Sweet. That's an awesome
and
place
we're like, that means we can bring stuff. Even if it was, I want to make this, and this, and I don't know what yarn to use. That's a starting point.
Yeah.
That's great. It takes a little longer when it's, well, I want to make a shawl or I want to make a scarf. But if they see stuff in our windows or if we start bringing out samples to them, that can help. The bane of our existence, even when things were normal, was, we gotta love the traffic outside, was I want to make something.
I don't know what. There are only like hundreds of thousands of patterns on Ravelry. So
And
you could narrow it down just a bit.
we're happy to help people narrow it down, but we need a little more information than that. Like
a hat, a scarf, a shawl.
Something small, something big. Do you actually want to tackle a sweater? Like 9 times out of 10, when they say I want to make something, they want to make like a scarf or a blanket, something like that. Or we had
which are two completely. They're both easy. You can do them in very plain
They want
stitches.
something kind of easy, mindless.
A scarf takes a couple of balls of yarn. A blanket can take
a lot more,
quite a bit.
Yeah. Even if they say they want to make a baby blanket, we have a starting point, right?
Yeah.
We did have someone in last week who was like, well, I don't know. I don't really like shawls. I like making scarves. And we don't have a whole lot of just straight scarf patterns in the shop. I could have brought a couple out. And I mentioned that I like to wear my shawls as scarves. Like that's the new fashion, not new, but it's new to some, a fashionable way to wear a shawl. If you don't want to wrap around the way Liz wears shawls one way, I wear them another. And most people, when they're like, I don't like shawls, they're thinking about the way Liz wears them. Nothing wrong with the way you wear them.
Great grandma shawls are worn over your shoulders, wrapped around.
And people are like, I don't know, I don't wear things that way. It's like, well, okay, flip it around, put the point in front, flip it. You know, it's like how a lot of people wear the more silk scarves, silk shawls as scarves. Yeah. You know, it's a thing. So we got her a wonderful walk in the woods kit, basically. And I said, you can wear this. In fact, I often, 9 times out of 10, if I'm going to wear a shawl, it will look like a scarf. It won't look like a shawl. And the butterfly shawl is one that's a little harder to do that. You lose the detail and it's got such a deep hang in the front. If you wear it as a scarf, it doesn't look as good. You can totally do it. But I would probably still wear it as
the detail.
Yeah. And it doesn't, like, a shallower triangle shawl hangs better in the front that way. Anyway, you guys saw me wear it last week when I brought in my monarch one, and I put it on. It was like, ooh, it's a little funky. Anyway, I'm a little off this morning, which is not necessarily different from any other morning, but I was a little migrainey this morning. So if I wander more than usual or have trouble completing my sentences, that is why. I have taken my medicine, because that's what Liz's first question was probably going to be. But, you know, we'll see how things go. So 2 things I thought we would do today. One is update you on a little bit of progress we both made. So ongoing projects, where are we? And then I was pondering and musing and going, oh man, we've been neglecting our crocheters lately, I feel.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, is like Liz crocheted first. Like Liz is originally a crocheter and then she learned to knit. And I was a knitter and then I learned to crochet. So we both do love crochet though. So we're trying to get back to it a little bit. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today as well. So crocheters, we need to give you some love, and I need to make some crochet things for the shop anyway. And yeah, so I thought we could start with progress we've made and then transition to crochet, which, by the way, Liz is crocheting right now.
Crochet.
Let's hang on to what you're
making. Don't get your hopes up yet. But,
you know. We're going to get to what she's doing in a second because it's fascinating. But I'll start since she's in the middle of a thing right now.
It's okay.
It's a thing.
I can put it down. I'm using stitch markers.
I chose a hill to die on this weekend. The lace shawl that I had started, and I was showing you all stuff on Thursday. I was like, I'm going to get through one ball. I was thinking I'll get through a few repeats and then I'll switch to another project so I can shake it up. And then like the ball seemed like it was never going to end. And I just kept going. I was like, I will conquer this ball of yarn.
She sent me a pic and I was like, oh, look, you're halfway through.
And I had fingers for her. I had lots of fingers for her. So then it was challenge accepted. Because that was Saturday night. That was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I am never going to finish this ball of yarn. And the pattern calls for 2 balls of yarn. Like you might not need all of the second ball. Here's my second ball. It's Pollock that I am working with. It is a silk linen blend. It's really fun to do lace work with, and I pretty much have the pattern memorized enough that I can remember and figure out what I need to do. I did on when knitting with some friends virtually on Sunday, realize I'd messed up a row and I had to fix it as I went, like about 2 rows worth, but I did. So if anyone was watching on Thursday, it's now big enough. It is now big enough. I'll hold it up there. Woo!
It's
doesn't
big.
Yeah. It was like, okay, I'm gonna have to use my head here. It was like down here. I look like I'm gonna be a ghost for Christmas for Halloween. Oh god, this is the migraine. Okay. It was like down here. I can see through the holes and see what's on the screen. That's awesome. And I'd use this as a cover shot, but I've already used, and I'm sorry for anyone for the talking I did when the shawl was over me. So you might not have been able to tell what I was saying. But I've already done a cover shot or a thumbnail for a video with a shawl over my head. I guess it's becoming my thing. It is a bottom-up triangle shawl. See, that guy's doing it right. I'm sorry. I'm distracted. There's a guy out there, mask and face shield. Thank you. And if only everyone who was having coffee outside right now was doing that. But that's why you might hear the noise of them finally, because they're razzing him a little bit, which... Anyway, this is just going to get wider and wider and wider as I make it. And look, it can be a beard. No. It's too wide to fully show off the edges of this. Here, if I pull all the edges up under my fists, you can see the pattern a little better. It's really fun. I'm having a great time. It's just, here's the thing with circular needles. If you're like, oh my gosh, it's not going to fit, you can jam it on. Take a look at that. Totally jam it on. This is, I want to say 12, maybe even 15 diamonds across. And it started with only like one diamond at the bottom.
One diamond at the bottom, yeah.
I'm supposed to go until from the bottom tip there to where my cable is. Supposed to go till it's like 38 inches, I want to say. I don't know where the pattern is. I think the cat kicked it under the couch, but I know it by now. I'm at 24 inches and I finally finished. I finished my ball. Look, that's all that's left.
Ooh, gonna start a new ball on the outside, or are you gonna?
This from the outside?
No, well,
from the edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to sew a hole in the center of it. So especially with the linen and stuff, it doesn't grab as well as wool. So I'm not even gonna try a new row. There's not enough here to get through a row. No. But it's 2 feet long right now. It's 24 inches long. So now that I have died on that hill, I'm gonna take a break from it for a little bit. I also at Friday knit night, the only other progress I can show on anything, because that was my hill to die on this weekend, was one more repeat of this. This is the Brighton sweater that I'm making. It's nice and big and boxy. Yes, that's much wider than me, but it is going to just hang nicely. And the shoulder seams will be down here. Nikki shout out to Nikki, who was our shopper on Friday, brought in her finished Brighton sweater in the sea foam, and it's beautiful.
It looks awesome.
It is an 18-row repeat, and this is my little marker here is where the last repeat happened. I got through one more repeat. So slow and steady on this every once in a while. End of my first ball. I have a second one waiting. So that is the knitting progress that I made since our last video. How about you show, because you're done through what you're doing. Yeah.
Anyway.
What knitting progress have you made, Liz?
Progress. So Friday night, knit night, I was not planning on getting any knitting done over the weekend because I was working on masks. And I did.
But then, no.
Well, so I was working on masks. Okay, so masks take a while to complete, a lot. So I did take breaks. And I finished my snooty French shawl.
we were talking. We showed this. We showed this on
It's
Thursday.
backwards.
Oh.
I don't know why.
This happens on the butterfly knit along all the time, by the way. Page. People take pictures of their papillons and they're backwards, and you can tell because on the front side of a garter shawl, it looks clean, and on the back side, I say looking dirty. You can see the colors intermingling a little more than on the front side.
This one it's moss.
You're gonna have
and
some modeling
seed stitch,
yeah.
But the reason I can tell it's on the back side is because I bound off.
Mm-hmm. You know, and you've got some intermingling of colors there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just eyelet and moss.
Did you see what she did at the bottom though?
I threw pods in at the bottom, and
pods are things from the Papillon.
I seed stitched them. I don't recommend it.
Liz always does a go big or go home, and because we do this,
well, it's
why on earth did you do that?
Because I wanted it to match the rest of the shawl. If I'd done garter stitch, it might look a little bit funny.
I'm just putting
so the pods are, once you've done a billion pods, they're pretty easy. It's go across, go back 10, 8,
down
6,
by 2s, and then there's a weirdness.
Yeah, and then there's 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8.
That she knows this means she's done a lot of Papillon.
So doing that and remembering what seed stitch goes where was a little bit more than
But look, can you hold your end up, because this is gonna be our thumbnail. Ta-da! Okay. I just have to find that moment in the video. And then can we remind people of your lovely, I'm hoping to get more of this yarn Papillon that you've started?
Yes, I have not done any more work on this. 1, 2, 3.
Did we show it off on Thursday though? I know.
I think we did.
On Wednesday, we had it on the table. And so you haven't seen the progress on this.
I'm progress. 4 rows into section 1. And
look how pretty that is.
I call each section thing a row, even though a row is actually 4 rows. So.
And if that doesn't make sense, just let it go.
Yeah. Anyway,
I call them stripes, kind of, or I'm trying to adapt to that terminology, maybe, because it's hard to,
So
look how pretty that is.
Zombie apocalypse.
I wrote Lorna's Laces this weekend and said, hey, if you have more of the zombie apocalypse, yes, we want it. Yes. Let's just buy you out of it and make you make more, because it's lovely. Yeah. So, and she said, Amanda, shout out to Amanda. She said, I think she said 5 bags, because we were wondering.
She commented in the comments on the video, Lorna's Laces.
Lorna's Laces lady commented on her video. Yay! So go check it out. But I think she said, when we were like, well, in stock now, it's because when she dyes a batch, it's so many bags, and we don't know how many. And I think she said 5. Yeah. If I'm saying that wrong, go check out the comments on last VSC's video, which is last Wednesday. So, so that's all the knitting stuff. Let's switch gears, because we've been getting, I think it's just because different knitting projects have been catching our attention, and there's been if we go way back to the beginning of our podcast, what really caught everyone's attention and made some of our videos views skyrocket were the Papillons, which are knit. And then lots of fun things have been coming out that we've been talking about and trying that are knit. But crocheting is super awesome too. If you go back to some of our early episodes, we had a whole which one's better, because everyone asks us that, or which one do we like more, and there's no straight up answer to that question. And it really is personal preference if someone likes knitting or crocheting more. I love them both, and I like them for different reasons. I mean, we can recap the whole, when someone comes in the shop and says, well, what's different or what's easier or what's, that's subjective as well.
Technically, you're using both hands and all 10 fingers for both.
So it's not like 1 stabby versus 2, which is how I describe, crochet, 1 stabby, knitting, 2 stabbies. When I had someone say, I saw someone doing a crafting yarn thing on the plane. Were they knitting or crocheting? I'm like, how many things were they using? 1 or 2? And For me, the biggest rundown is, like Liz was saying, you're using both hands. So if you watch her while we're working, not to make you self-conscious while we're talking here, she's using both hands. One tool, she's still using both hands. She's just as involved right now as she is when she's sitting there knitting.
Yeah.
The basic breakdowns I would make over knitting versus crocheting. On the whole, once you learn to crochet tends to go a whole heck of a lot faster.
Unless it's single crochet and then it's just like knitting.
One of the reasons for that is you can build higher stitches. Like the thing that I'm making right now has double crochet, which are taller stitches, so you can pound out more volume faster. Unless it's single crochet. But like if I need to make a baby blanket and I'm on a limited time frame, I'm going to crochet it because it's going to get done faster. For me personally. The flip side to that is crochet eats up more yarn.
About a third more.
About a third more per the same, like baby blanket, same size, knit or crocheted. It's going to take up at least a third more yarn if you crochet. Crochet is they're both pulling loops through loops, but crochet, even the single crochet stitch, which is about the same height as a knit stitch, you have 2 loops being pulled through, whereas a knit you only have 1. And so it's a thicker stitch. It's more of a twisted stitch. It's got a squishier, thicker fabric. When you talk about what is produced when you're done, same weight, same thickness of yarn, knitting and crocheting, you're going to end up with a thicker product in the end if you're crocheting, because more yarn is used and in the way it's produced.
And a flatter. Like
flatter with crochet?
Yeah, like this is replicating garter stitch. Garter stitch has the little ribs which make it all squishy.
The texture's different.
So
okay, yeah. I can go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I think flatter, I think thickness flatter. I'm like, this is gonna lie flatter on the table than something that's crocheted a little. Or it's gonna be more irregular.
No, I mean like
I get what you're saying.
Garter has ridges and yes. A garter is almost like a ripple chip, potato chip, whereas crochet is more like the flat lays potato chip. Like
crochet is more like thick cut.
Yeah.
But it's instead of having ruffles have ridges kind of thing. Yeah. Shout out to Ruffles, apparently. I don't know. Marketing works. It's stuck in my head. No, but like this guy is really flat knit. The same thing done in crochet would have a thicker density to it. But in crochet, you can get much more open spaces when you're working on something. I can look up at our samples that are behind you all, behind the camera, and when someone sees something that is super lacy, like this is lace work in knitting, right? This is lace work. But if you see something with bigger holes in that, and this has some big holes in it that are made by 2 yarn overs and then having to knit and purl into them. But that might be the extent, other than these things called drop stitches in knitting, that might be the extent to having big holes. Whereas crochet, you can build huge, lacy, some of our favorite shawls in crochet have tons of big open holes in them. In fact, it's kind of hard not to have some open work. This, let me show you. You can see air through that. And these are actually, I'm not the tightest crocheter in the world, and it depends on the hook you have too, how tight your stitches are. But there's going to be, unless you're using really, really small hook for your yarn and pulling super tight, you're going to have open spaces in crochet no matter what. If you want more of a fabric that doesn't have holes in it, I would knit it. But if you want something lacy and delicate and really cool looking, like doilies and things throughout history, a lot of those were crocheted. If they weren't tatted and those things, they were crocheted. So that's a general breakdown of crochet versus knit. And we have not been giving crochet enough love lately because we've just kind of gotten sidetracked. You know,
I chase butterflies.
Or too focused on some things. So I put a profile of Rachy Newin in our newsletter this week. There are a few crocheters, Ambassador Crochet, which is Christine Mullen, I think. Rachy Newin. There's a few other crocheters that I reliably go to if I'm looking for patterns. There's tons of patterns out there. There is one woman who makes like really fancy granny squares. People are like, oh, granny squares, whatever. No, there's some elaborate. Granny squares are great for the basics when we think of Afghans. There are also super elaborate granny squares, works of art. And I'm blanking again, because I'm going to blame it all on my head. I'm blanking on the woman I stumbled across who makes really cool crochet granny squares. In fact, I was in the middle, like a year ago or so, of making a whole series of granny squares based off of Firefly characters. So if I can find it afterwards, I will put it in the comments. I want to say it starts with a P. Maybe I'll look it up when Liz starts talking about the cool things she's doing right now. But, you know, having a granny square for each character in Joss Whedon's Firefly, for anyone who's a sci-fi fan out there, so cool. Oh my gosh. I love it when you can geek and nerd out as well as craft. It's just fun. So, but I'm making a cowl right now. I started this last night, talking about how fast things can go. I started this last night after I published my newsletter. So it was probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I didn't stay up super late. And I'm thinking knit night tonight, I might be able to finish this, because I doubt I'm going to have time to work on this once our day gets going, because that's life for us. But it's DK weight yarn. I'm using Sugar Bush Festivity, which is some really lovely mass-produced but still hand-dyed variegateds that we have that we may or may not show up in VSC. I haven't decided what we're doing in VSC yet. And then Fiber Space Vivacious DK denim. And the center of this is going to be all denim with a little texture. And then it's going to stripe again. And then it's going to have the festivity out here again.
It looks really cool.
And Liz was like, hey, you should do it with the shop colors, because, you know, yellow and red. It's bright and vibrant. There is a shawl that I put in my newsletter that I want to make out of these two colors, because it's not super dark and broody, but it's compared to this one, it's dark and broody. So small project, bigger project, and I will keep you all updated as I go. And even this, I was thinking, Liz, even this is kind of shop colors.
I know.
I mean, at least we have the yellow, that's our dragon, you know. So apparently I'm all over the shop colors right now. Why could that be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No clue.
I'm gonna let Liz tell you about what she decided to start tackling, and she's already made some progress on.
So everybody keeps asking about a crochet version of the Papillon, and I keep turning it over and over in my head. And yesterday,
and when I think about that, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. No, when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, you could, you know, make the pods by making higher stitches and shorter stitches, but then you'd have to figure out where to put them. And that's a lot of math and thinking and everything. And I turned back to this.
So I've been turning it over, and then, like, what was it? It was yesterday in the morning, we were talking about having a crochet day. And I was like, yeah, I should do something in crochet. I haven't done anything in crochet. I haven't touched any of my crochet projects. And so I sat there deciding which crochet project I was going to touch, and nothing talked to me. And I started this about 7:30 last night. And this is the Papillon in crochet, or at least trying to. I decided the easiest way to do it would be to crochet the exact same as the knitting.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing, you said I'm going to do it all in single crochet.
And single crochet.
Same height as knit stitch.
Yeah.
Short. And I was like, well, you do keep saying that knitting is single crochet for the rest of your life. And so I'm like, And usually when you say that, you're not being complimentary, but that is a way to do this. So how is it going so far?
So far, I am finishing up the contrasting color on section 2, the little short. Anyway,
The first time you do short rows.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks wonky when you do it. Like
she's doing her short rows by
I'm just going
single
back and
crochet,
forth.
turn and go back, and so not the wrap and turns per se. I wonder if there's a. I thought. Go ahead.
I've thought about a wrap and a turn, but actually, if you look at this, it works. Look.
Okay, that works.
You can't even tell.
I was gonna say if we needed a wrap and turn because we need to like level things out a little bit, you could do a slip stitch.
Yeah. So I've taken a lot of, back and forth. So like if you read a crochet pattern, you know that to add a stitch is just add a stitch.
Mm-hmm.
In knitting,
that's the thing about crochet. You can fudge stuff and make stuff up and
yeah. In knitting, it's make one. And then you make one right, make one left, blah, 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 blah. But for crochet, it's just throw an extra one in there.
It's just muscle it in. You stab it and you make a stitch.
So I've taken this to the simplest translation. If it says knit one, make one, knit to the stitch marker, I knit 2 in the first stitch, or I crochet 2 in the first stitch, knit to right, and I can't put the markers on the side of the stitch, so I have a marker on the stitch, on the middle stitch.
Which is often how you mark things in crochet, is you just mark that stitch.
And then the stitch before the center stitch will get 2 in the center stitch in my row 5. Mm-hmm. And then same thing on the other side. You have to keep moving your stitches moving your stitch markers because you can't take a closed stitch marker out of crochet. They would stay in place for the rest of their life. Yeah.
Yeah. The stitch markers that don't open, like the rings we use in knitting, like these
they float in between the stitches.
Yeah. And because I have people who use stitch markers for the first time in knitting, they're like, what do I do? You just move it. You just slide it as you go and it stays there, and yay. Because you have all these stitches hanging, like I've got stitch markers right here, right? All these stitches hanging out. That's another crochet knitting difference, is you got to keep track of all of these stitches and keep them all on your needle and don't drop them, and heaven forbid, and but crochet, like if you hold up what you're working on right now, you're creating stitches as you go every time into the top of other stitches instead of having to hang on to them all. Which has its pluses and minuses.
I also was like, oh my gosh, this could actually be so cool, because when it comes time to bind off, all I do is pull my hook out, pull the yarn through the loop.
That's another thing, yeah.
And there's nothing to bind off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 400 crochet stitches across is going to
making your little picots and stuff.
I don't think I'm going to do the picots. I think I'm going to just, only because, why am I going to,
because it's crochet and it's picots and it's moth and you love the moth. Now she can do whatever she wants.
So I'm going to lay this over the top. It's a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Because I'm doing it on an H hook.
You're also a tight, she's an on gauge crocheter. I'm a loose crocheter. This is probably coming out bigger than it should. I thought about, it's actually the gauge on this. She's like, it doesn't really matter. It's a cowl, whatever. I'm using the hook that in the pattern it's written for. It's supposed to be 15 stitches for 4 inches, and I'm getting about
17.
No, 16. But hang on, that means I'm smaller. My brain just wrapped its head around that. No, my brain's wrapping it wrong because I'm migraine-y.
Gonna be a fun day.
No.
You're getting more stitches.
I'm getting more stitches, which means they're smaller. I should actually be bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
so it's fine. It's okay. And I started, she's got it where you have to turn every row. You can either seam it when it's done, or you can do slip stitches but still turn. And I did a couple rows where I was doing it flat, and then I'm like, screw this. and I started slip stitching and turning it. So you can see, I'll show it off more another day because we're supposed to be focusing on that. But but this is going to be a nice loose, it's going to be much taller, really tall. So it's just going to,
which is going to be cool because it'll almost
Flop
pull
nice.
up over your head if you needed
snoot if I need it.
something. Yeah,
In the warmth. Okay.
in the warmth.
Okay. Back to, I'm sorry, Papillon.
It's okay. I just laid my crochet bit
Squirrel.
over the top,
Mm-hmm.
and it pulls things in more. Like
Yeah,
you see
like the top edge is going to be interesting to see if it keeps expanding or not.
So I am chaining one to go back, but I'm not crocheting into the chain one because
it doesn't usually count as a stitch.
doesn't count as a stitch.
Yeah.
So, and to keep all my numbers, because I'm already putting in my stitch markers every 10 stitches.
Because even though it's not all hanging out here, like counting is so essential in the Papillon. Oh my gosh.
I was like,
really
well,
smart.
I could count all of it. And then I was like, it gets big.
Yeah.
And so
And a way to keep track is to use
I
those
bought
to count.
another. I have so many stitch markers at home, but I don't have a lot of open close.
And you always lose stitch markers, so why
You
not
do.
have more?
So
Those,
I bought,
what kind are those from Coconuts? These are a new acquisition of ours in the past few
these
months.
are the split ring. And I am buying the open close ones, but I'm playing with the split ring right now.
And are they holding in place pretty well?
They're holding in place, but they're easier to pull out
Yeah.
and put back in.
And the open close ones are sharp and stabby. I love them, but they are sharp and stabby. So.
I think for this, you need, particularly, you need to mark your right side because it's crochet.
You don't have the clean
You
and
don't
dirty.
have a clean and dirty.
Okay.
So, and I probably everybody saw me do it. When I finished my blue row, I just pulled the loop through and started a new row with the gray. I'm crocheting my ends in as I go. Like I just lay them down and crochet them in so that I don't have all the ends.
We have knitters who knit the ends in as they go. I'm not a big fan. I mean, they can. Shout out to Carol. They can.
For crochet, I will. Just because.
I did that with the beginning of my blue here. I haven't snipped it yet, but it is crocheted in a little bit. Yeah.
Mine's crocheted in at least 6 inches. So there's no way it's ever going to work its way out. But marking the center stitch, you want, and I should probably make it more obvious that it's that one as I get more and more, but you're going to want to follow the knitting pattern as if you're crocheting it.
Yeah.
I haven't finished yet. I'm only to the end of section 2. So
one thing I will say though is, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm done.
I'm really good at that. And so I'm trying to be better. But one thing I will say is if the pods get off, like if pods, migraine brain, if her red and orange squares get off a little bit, or she doesn't like the position of them, it's so much easier to pull out crochet. Take your hook out and go zoop back to where it makes sense. Get your little loop where you can recognize a stitch, stick it back in. Yeah. It's not like, oh my gosh, you can't let the stitches go because they're going to unravel. That doesn't happen in crochet.
But I started it last night on an E. It was a 4. It was the same as the 4 needles, and I was using. Oh,
that must have been so tight.
No, actually, it wasn't the fact it was tight. I was using black yarn because I had a bunch of black yarn sitting there, and I had a big spotlight behind me, and I was like, this is so tiny, and because I'm playing around with it for the first time, I should not do tiny. So I went to my yarn stash, and I pulled out my sweater yarn, which I bought a sweater quantity of this Rowan felted tweed. It was right when you started carrying pom-pom. There was a sweater that I wanted to make out of that I haven't. And so, but I have all the yarn. So I was like, I'll use this as my contrast. And then I have a lot of Liberty Wools. Classic Elite Liberty
They
Wool.
went out of business right after I opened the shop. It was so sad.
I have a bunch of different colors of this, and I even have some of the stripy colors.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed an open bowl, and I'm going to just work my way down. It's going to be the scrappiest crochet thing, but I get to test knit it or test crochet it. So I get to play around with
yeah. What's really funny is, so the Try Guys, if anyone out there are Try Guys fans, they try things. They're really cute and funny and stuff. They did a knitting video years ago, and then they did a crochet video more recently, and they were like buzzing and highlighting every time they said knit when they meant crochet during the crochet video. And yeah, even people who love crochet do that. We slip because we spend too much time knitting, and we need to get back to crochet. So I'm hoping to have ongoing crochet projects alongside my knit projects. I had started, I'm realizing we should wrap up because the shop's about to open. And I think we've been going for probably a good 40 minutes now, but that's okay because we're giving love to both knit and crochet today. I had started one of Rachy Newin's designs, which was Together Apart. I think I left it at home today. I meant to bring it in to show it off. I had stalled out one ball in of this giant crescent shawl. I'll try to bring it in for Thursday. But I also wanted to mention, I found her 2 books of 2 different, I think she's got the guys and the girls in different books of the characters from Firefly. They're called Shiny, which if you're a Firefly fan, you'll be like, oh, yay. Her name is Polly Plum. And she has, we'll see if that even, she's got really pretty granny squares, like not your typical granny square, fancy, fun, pretty, modern, simple, but have a modern, sleek look to a lot of them. And she's got more than the Firefly ones. She has ones that are based off of TV characters from classic TV as well as modern. She's got ones that are more based on historical characters. She's got a lot of really, really pretty stuff. Anyway, we gotta go. I hope you've enjoyed us talking about knit and crochet. And just like the first time we did that, let us know what you love and why, and what you want to hear more about, and we'll just keep talking about projects we're working on. We're going to see what happens with VSC tomorrow. We might talk about some of the yarns we mentioned today. We might talk about something else new that we've gotten in that's just fun. Smorgasbord. That's what we're going to do. So we love you all. We miss you. We want you to stay safe. We want you to come shop outside with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Go online to make an appointment if you want to be in the shop for an hour. That's Wednesdays and Fridays, but you have to make an appointment ahead of time. We'd love you to join us for Knit Night tonight, virtual Knit Night. Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. Use our shop phone number on Zoom. So it's 828-877-3550. Should be in the comments at this point. I'm trying to incorporate, there's a lot of stuff in the description of our videos at this point. But subscribe. We are inching closer to 400 subscribers, which for us is amazing. Awesome. Keep it going. Share this with friends if you have subscribed, if you think they're going to enjoy hanging out with us a little bit 2 or 3 times a week. And at least give us a thumbs up, right? Right?
Yeah. So. I'm sorry. I was counting. And
this might be something that distracts her a little more when we're filming.
Bit
but
more.
Luckily, I tend to monopolize the conversation anyway, so we're okay. I should mention in terms of virtual stuff, if nighttime knitting is not your thing, we are trying again. We tried this for Worldwide Knit in Public Day. We turned it into Worldwide Knit in Public at Home Day.
Yep.
We're trying another Saturday afternoon sit and stitch. 1 to 5 this Saturday. Facebook Live event if you want to join us that way, and we will have a concurrent Zoom session. If you want to see other people, join the Zoom session, and you're comfortable with Zoom, join the Zoom session. If you just want to kind of be part of it, like hang out peripherally in a way, you can always type comments on Facebook Live, but you'll be looking mostly at my mug, and you might hear some people from Zoom. It's fascinating, but I'd be happy to, I tend to monopolize and talk and let other people chime in, but I will keep it going for 4 hours because that's how long the Facebook Live event will let us record. Okay. We've definitely been going for a really long time today.
Because
we love you.
Now.
Yeah. It's 10. We got to go. Bye. Okay. Keep waving. Vamp, Liz, vamp.
And there's the phone.